So welcome to Kingdom Calling, where we're going to look at the Garveys SuperValu quarterfinals that took place last weekend, and we're going to look forward to the two semi-finals this weekend. And we'll also have a quick look at the county junior final. That's the Kerry Petroleum who sponsored that. We'd like to thank Kierans O'Reilly's and Danny Lean for having us here. Beautiful place. I had a bit of lunch here earlier. It was lovely, and there's coffee and scones here, and a great place to eat and have a drink and relax as well. There's plenty of TVs around the place, so you won't miss any game. And maybe at the weekend, if you can make one of the games, come in here and watch them live on Clubber. We look back now at the weekend, and first of all, I'm going to go to John Kennedy. John, what game were you at the weekend? You were at East Kerry, was it, no?
Yeah, East Kerry Murt, yeah.
Yeah, East Kerry and St. Kierans. That
right.
was pretty tight, pretty close. Were you impressed, number one? You obviously were impressed with St. Kierans, I'd say, and the battle they put up. And you might talk very quickly about East Kerry, how you rated their performance.
Yeah, we said last week that Kierans are a team that they prepare well, they get the best out of the players they have, and they have quite a lot of players that are competitive. I felt East Kerry would have to have their best display to beat them. Mm-hmm. I suppose overall, the likes of Brian Leonard, Sean O'Connell in the middle of the field was outstanding. Philip O'Connor played really well. Paul Welsh inside, but they can feel there was a few decisions that didn't go their way, debatable ones. At the end of the day, East Kerry, I suppose the strength they have and the strength and depth they had, I suppose, was very important. One guy that came on kicked 5 points, Murt Murphy. Really, really impressive for them. Killarney Legion, yeah. And then Sean O'Leary came on, Darragh Roach, Kevin O'Sullivan, they all made an appearance.
Dylan Roach, I think it was.
Dylan Roach, yeah. They all made an appearance. But at the end of the day, that bit of experience, the know-how, it just got them over the line. But it was a real test for Jerry Sullivan and his men, and they have work to do. There was questions asked about their defence, particularly maybe their full back line.
Yeah. How did they stand up?
They did okay. Look, at the end of the day, I suppose they won the game, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But I feel there could be a few changes for the semi-final.
Yeah.
Knowing Jerry O'Sullivan, the competitive nature, he won't have been happy with some of the performances. No. Darragh Lyne was really good again. He was really good again. Played really well, impressive, good hands. Is
he good enough, do you think, to be looked at by Jack and the management?
He definitely is. He has been consistent. Yeah. We've seen it. Sean O'Connell also, really consistent.
Because we're short on midfielders.
Yeah, I think these guys, others have we talked about them earlier on in the club championship. They were impressive for over a game or two, but they kind of fizzled off. But these lads have been consistent and definitely deserve a look at.
Can I ask you about Sean O'Leary, who was a Kerry panellist, and he had that horrible injury crash, and he's coming back. How did he came off the bench?
He looked good. Yeah. Looked good. I saw him with Kilcommon earlier on. Really backed himself, and great to see after a horrendous injury. But he has the experience. He's probably getting back to the pace of it and the level of it again, and that competitive nature. But I think he'll be in the mix the next day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. John O'Dowd, you were in Killarney for your troubles along with me. Well, I was there along with you, I suppose, whichever way you want to put it. And the first game was Templenoe and Dingle. Mm-hmm. And for 20 minutes of that game, we were looking at Templenoe, and John Rice was flaking over points from distance, and Killian Spillane looked unmarkable for a while. And there were, Gavin Crowley was outstanding, Sean Sheehan, and then you had coming through from the back, you Tyg Morley and Mark Casey as well. And really, they had Dingle, 7 points to 4.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it was like you were putting a prick in the balloon at a birthday party. Bang! Templenoe disappeared.
It was almost an exact replica of the quarter-final the previous year between the same two teams. That day, Templenoe, I think it was after 37 minutes, Stephen O'Sullivan got a goal and it put them a point ahead, and then they just faded out of the game completely, and Dingle ended up winning by 8 or 9 points. And the last day again, Templenoe, fantastic for the first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
7 points to 4 ahead. Dingle were in a bit of bother at that stage. They were starting to get a little bit frustrated. It wasn't really going their way. But Templenoe, the loss of Brian Crowley was huge. He had scored 4 points from play against Shannon Rangers. And if you look at the last day, Killian Spillane played well, but he was on a solo mission up front. No other forward scored. And at the same time as he did well, he was up against Tom O'Sullivan, who made a fantastic return from 8 weeks on the sidelines.
Agreed, yeah.
So with Killian eventually bottled up and just suffering from no supply really as the game went on, Dingle got 4 points in a row just before half-time.
Yeah.
Paul Ganey, unbelievable leadership again. Tom O'Sullivan making lots of runs from a deeper position. And Niall Ganey was outstanding. He was everywhere on the day, and kicked a few scores as well.
He's one of the Ganeys we never mention, and he's very good.
Again, though, as John said in the East Kerry St. Kierans game, refereeing decisions again at vital stages of the second half, maybe 10 or 12 minutes into the second half, went against Templenoe. Now, Dingle had already taken control.
Yeah.
They had maybe 6 or 7 points in a row. They'd gone 3 ahead themselves, and then the goal came. And to all intents and purposes, Dingle had lost the ball, and it looked like a turnover by Adrian Spillane, and it looked that he was definitely fouled.
Yeah.
Play carried on. He lost possession. Dingle went through 3 or 4 passes, balls in the back of the net, tapped in. The game's over.
Yeah.
4 or 5 minutes later, frustration building for Templenoe. Josh Crowley Holland. He'd already been booked with Tom Lee O'Sullivan for an off-the-ball incident. Then he gets a second yellow, presumably for something he said, maybe. He's off, and then it's all over for Templenoe. That's it. Now, look, Dingle probably would have went on and won the game anyway. Yeah. But that goal and then the sending off, that was just a double blow for Templenoe, and there was no way back.
Yeah, and it appeared as well maybe that the ball was picked up the ground in that turnover.
Quite potentially by Billy O'Connor, There was almost 2 separate incidents, but it clearly looked a foul on Adrian Spillane, and you could say that it wasn't the cleanest of pickups off the ground by Billy either.
No, and I think that Templenoe got frustrated at the end, in the second half, and it played against them. But Dingle, we'll be talking about them obviously now in the preview, but they certainly have come back from that defeat and that poor performance against Mid Kerry, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%. They're after getting 3 wins on the trot now. South Kerry, Milltown Castlemaine, and now Templenoe. But I think the last day, just psychologically, Tom O'Sullivan's return is gigantic news for Dingle.
Again, as I said, we'll be touching on it soon, but South Kerry, Milltown Castlemaine, Templenoe obviously are probably better side, maybe the other 2 with their Kerry senior players and things on board, but there was no kind of East Kerry there, there was no St. Kierans there was no St. Brendan's in that. And the team,
100%.
The one strong team they came up against Mid Kerry, they were kind of found out. So maybe that's a worry.
They know that the competition that they faced over the last 3 weeks will bear no comparison to what they're going to be up against on Sunday. Yeah.
Now, Dr. Crokes against Rathmore. Damo, I know you were housed up in Tralee with a number of women. Sorry, I rephrase that. I know you were covering ladies games in Tralee. Just in case we have a blues singer who tunes into this. Dr. Crokes, but Dr. Crokes and John, you could come in, or the 2 Johns anyway, come in on this as well. Dr. Crokes were very, very impressive. After initially coming in under pressure by Rathmore, but you'd have to be impressed by Dr. Crokes, their midfield. And this young Evan Looney, have you seen Evan Looney play?
Yes,
He's a really good thing. But they really put the game to bed. Again, to the penalty that really sort of was possibly the turning point in getting them going, and they led at half time in that one. Was it 1-8 to 1-2, John? I think it was. John O'Dowd, what do you think of that game?
Well, I think it went along expected lines, and from what I understand, maybe the scoreline doesn't quite reflect Crokes' level of dominance. Rathmore kind of came back into it, but Crokes probably had the game won at that stage. Yeah. But I know if you were to maybe put a slight, maybe slightly nitpicking, not quite the level of control we've seen from them in other games where they've just totally closed it out. But I wouldn't be worried about that. Usually.
Yeah, I made the point on commentary saying that in the last 10 minutes, they made changes. They brought on Kieran O'Leary. Kieran kicks a point. They brought on then in the final minute before added time, they brought on Alex Hennigan, and he kicks 2 points. So maybe Pat, but I thought...
That's the Crokes conveyor belt, and another player coming on again,
yeah, but I thought,
and Pat feeding them in nice and slowly.
John O'Dowd, who was reporting that game. John, did you think they got kind of... what's the word? They got, they lost a bit of shape in those final 10 minutes and allowed Rathmore back into it? Or would you give more credence to the batting qualities of Rathmore?
Yeah, obviously, after around 52 minutes, it was 115 to 1-5. They were 10 points up, Dr. Crokes, entering the last 10 minutes or so. So the game was done and dusted, and they obviously made substitutions, took the foot off the accelerator. But in fairness to Rathmore, they never stopped. They kept going all the way to the finish. They're one of the most admirable teams in the competition this year, considering the injury situation that they've had to put up with week on week. And
they're missing 6 or 7 players.
Yeah, and if you look at it, there was only 5 points between the two teams at the end of the game, and maybe that is slightly flattering to Rathmore at the end. But definitely the 6-point lead that Dr. Crokes had in the first at half time was totally flattering to Dr. Crokes as well, because Rathmore were 1, 2 to 3 points ahead after the Kieran Collins goal and a Shane Ryan point. Playing fantastic. Paul Murphy in the first 15 or 20 minutes was given an exhibition around the middle of the field.
Shane Murphy was given an exhibition.
Yeah, goalkeeping. He actually made 3 fantastic saves, I think, during the game, but 2 of them ended up with goals because the rebounds were dispatched into the net. Crokes mixed their game up very well. It was something I mentioned this week. Micheál Burns and Gavin O'Shea, some of the foot passing into the inside forward line was fantastic.
Gavin O'Shea, and not because he's Pat's son and I want to win any favour with Pat.
You do?
No, I don't. Because Pat would approach me, as Jimmy says, I'd have to approach him with predictive gear on. But no, Gavin, but the point is, Crokes play the same system at every age group, right? And they continually, particularly under Pat O'Shea, I was talking to Boo Boo, by the way, that's James Fleming. He's now coaching the basketball team, the ladies basketball team at St. Paul's. And he was up in Limerick for a while as well. But he's a very good football coach as well as a basketball coach. But he was telling me that, like, under Pat O'Shea, like, everything is, it's not so much the play or who finishes, it's who gave the pass and where's he next. He's not watching the ball going over the bar. He's actually watching when Evan Looney goes an attack, who's gone back, who's dropped back. Has Mark O'Shea dropped back into the pocket? Has Gavin dropped back? Has Tom Doyle dropped back? That's the kind of manager he is.
They have different,
and that comes from basketball.
They have different game plans at the moment. They have that traditional Crokes style of keep ball and lovely crisp passing into runners inside and getting scores quickly. But then they also have the option of the Gavin Whites, who's been doing it obviously for a long time, the Charlie Keatings, Brian Looney from a deeper role, and you mentioned Evan Looney massively. These guys can go on runs from the back and break the lines and create overlaps and open up spaces and get scores that way. So it's not easy to stop Dr. Crokes. And you mentioned Tom Doyle there. One of the most, I actually thought he was fantastic on Sunday. It was one of the best football games
Kerry Senior Huller.
Yeah, it was one of the best football games I'd seen him play in a totally understated way.
Yeah.
He didn't score. He mightn't have provided the last assist for the scores, but he was involved in so many scores.
Yeah. John, I heard something or somebody saying during the week, maybe it was on radio, I'm not too sure now, that Shane Ryan, if you talk about Rathmore, and Shane Murphy is such a good goalkeeper, that for Kerry, possibly Shane Murphy should be in goals, and Shane Ryan, as a target man, should be up full forward. Now I can tell you, I don't know who said it, right? But whoever did, I'm just going to tell him it's never going to happen. Under Jack O'Connor anyway. I was told that it will never happen. But anyway, go on and
it probably won't, but if you look at the county championship and you look at the club scene that Shane Ryan has played in, he's been one of the leading forwards.
He has.
As a ball winner, as a kicker, you know, and as a leader. And I'd agree with what John said. Put Paul Murphy they were outstanding the last day on a beaten team.
Yeah.
They never gave up. But Shane Ryan is an impeccable kicker.
Yeah.
You know, he has that. What about intercounty level? As you said, it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
But there's one other player that's really playing well this year is David Shaw.
Yes,
Dr. Crokes as another forward, as a target man.
Kerry Minor in 2017 was it?
He had a few injuries, I think. And
15.
Maybe went back with
he
two
played.
injuries.
I think he played one National League game
Against
in
Meath.
2020.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened.
COVID,
And I
exactly,
don't think he's ever. I don't know.
No,
exactly.
he's never been back. And he got 2 points that day.
Yeah, he got 2 points that day.
2 points,
And I think we played one more National League game after that. Yeah, he'd be a guy you'd like to see as well.
But you have to look at the way the Crokes are playing, the style of football, the kick passing, the way they can manage a game, and as you say, the awareness they have. Look, if you were a coach and you wanted to see how it should be played, that's a team to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because they're really outstanding, and Pat O'Shea has brought that level to them. You rarely see them giving the ball away, kicking from outside the zone. You rarely see it happening, and if it does, it probably won't happen a second time.
Just on Rathmore, Murt, and I know you mentioned John Rice for Templenoe, who was absolutely fantastic over the weekend in a losing team. I think it would be unfair not to mention young Kieran Collins for Rathmore, who has shown unbelievable development during this championship. He's got a lot physically stronger. Even in the last 10 or 15 minutes the last day, he was still looking for goals, taking the game to Dr. Crokes. He's been fantastic.
Is he a basketballer as well?
No, that's another Collins.
That's Ronan.
That's
Ronan.
No,
Oh, yeah.
if you mix up Nivagulla and Rathmore, you're going into Celtic and Rangers territory. So
I better avoid it next time I see Ambrose.
Send John O'Dowd to do report on that game. Don't you go. But yeah, Kieran Collins. Kieran Collins is a fine player. Absolutely. And Rathmore, I think, to be fair to them, they have a young squad. If you take Paul Murphy and say John Moynihan out of it, a lot of the other players, John Murphy, the Hole in Twins, etc. I certainly think, if it's not an oxymoron or whatever you call it, they're a team of the future.
And serious bottle and serious
battling quality.
Battling quality. They've been behind in a couple of games and they've come back.
And David
from the first day at Blow in Fitzgerald Stadium against Kenmare in the club championship, I think there was a 10-point turnaround that day. That's character, and you know that's serious.
Their Crokes in the semi-final of the club championships over in that was the day that we had the double-header, the Glenflesk Long Rangers game, and then after that we had to go to the and that went extra time, so it was a bit of a rush getting there. But anyway, I remember it, and Crokes again were 10-12 points a better team at one stage, and like right to the end, I think it was Andrew Moynihan who missed the senior championship because of injury. He got a goal with the final kick of the game. They brought it back to 3 or 4 points or something. Again, they never gave up. They never do. Yeah. So anyway, well done to Dave McCarthy and Rathmore. And very quickly, we'll go through St. Brendan's. I suppose they were expected to beat Kenmare, but if you look at Kenmare, it was 16 points to 14. If you look at Kenmare, their problem again, Shawnee O'Shea, not their problem. He's some player, 10 points, that only leaves 4 points for the others. They don't have the scoring power of an East Kerry, of a Crokes, etc. That's a major problem, isn't it? But they gave it a great battle.
Kenmare very similar to Rathmore.
Yeah.
Like they never throw in the towel, no matter the circumstances, no matter the strength of the opposition. They've done it all through the season. We've seen them so many times, John, as well. Even when they lost to Dingle in that senior club semi, they could have won. They edged out mid-Kerry, then they go, like they could still have won this game the last day. If you look at it, Kevin O'Sullivan got sent off at a vital stage. Yeah. They lost James McCarthy, who was having an absolute stormer. He went off through injury.
Took a few decisions once against them.
At a vital stage as well, and they're up against a St. Brendan's team that, while they haven't hit the lights out yet, they're building and building, and the longer they go on in this competition, the stronger they get. And Kenmare, they weren't far off them. It was like Sean O'Shea apparently gave an absolute exhibition last weekend. Like he has, I think he's 3 goals and 28 points scored in the championship, which is a minimum of maybe 10 points more than any other player at the current stage. And even though he's out of the competition, it'll still be hard
it's
to
going
beat
to be very
him for
hard.
top scorer.
Tony Brosnan might, he's on 318, he might have some chance, but I'd say it's looking fairly good for Shawnee still at this stage.
Where did you get that stat now?
From John O'Dowd, but that's a different story.
All right, okay, yeah, that might not be accurate. I'll have to check it. I'll have to check it with my own man. John, finally on this, John, if you're looking at St. Brendan's, I think the rebirth or rejuvenation of a man from this club has been quite. Barry John Keane has been kicking points for front 4. He kicked 5 in the game. I saw him earlier. The man has really come back. And then you have the young fellas, Tomas Kennedy, who played the Monday before in the O'Sullivan Cup to help his team to the final, and Paddy Lane, who scored 12 points for Mount Hawk on that day. Are you watching Liam Lynch? Paddy Lane with his 12 points, and then he kicks 2 points when he comes on, and that was the difference between the teams. The younger players as well as the older generation, Morton, Walsh and Keane.
Yeah, they're doing, look, as John said, they mightn't be firing in all cylinders. They're improving as every game goes ahead. They're doing enough to get over the line. There's more in them, there's no doubt. I think they juggled the team a bit the last day. They didn't start doing Kerry or Paddy Lane. They brought them on, obviously, their games during the week. Dahi Griffin was in with them the last day.
He was. Kicked a point too, I think.
Yeah. Defensively, this was a tough task against Kenmare. Very well drilled outfit, and as you said, Barry John is really he's enjoying this championship. You can see kick 4 points. Jack Savage again.
Was it you that said that he's playing with better players with St. Brendan's than with Strand Road? No,
never said that.
Oh, that's
no.
okay.
But he I don't know about that, but he is playing a bit like we saw him here against Fossa, and he's at a different level now again. And I'm not saying he was poor that day, but
you are.
I'm not. But
do you want us to be thrown out of here?
I know, yeah. But he's really kicked on this championship.
But they'll probably see this as a chance of winning the county championship.
Yeah. And because they've gone down to intermediate, so for a senior medal for them.
Absolutely.
Which they missed out on 2 years ago.
2002, wasn't it? They missed out.
No, I don't think anyone playing for Strand Road now would have that medal.
No.
We said it before a ball was kicked in this championship, that once it became known that David Moore and Tommy Welsh and Barry John Keane were fully committing to the St. Brendan's team for this championship. You just knew they weren't doing that.
Jack Savage taught me.
Yeah, and Jack Savage. They weren't just doing that just to play county championship.
No.
They were doing that because they feel that they might win the county championship.
They have a very, very good. Like two of the lads, James Costello, who was Kerry minor manager, etc., and was an unlucky Kerry minor manager in my estimation.
And was up in Clare as well.
And up in Clare. Now he's managing them and looking after them. And he's got Pam McCarthy in with them, who was at St. Pat's Castle there in the game they lost as well recently. I was chatting to him just briefly. But that's a powerful management team. And they have brought this group together. And the group have bought into them. And Brendan's are a dangerous animal, I think.
But there's also the sense, Murt, that it might be now or never in a sort of way, because
the Stacks
are...
Yeah, but
they're 50-50, we'll say. Well, 50-50, you know, there's a 50-50 chance that St. Brendan's won't be as strong this year, next year as they are this year. So
I'm not so sure which player was quoted a few weeks ago in that when they were invited in and when they saw the structure.
Jack Savage.
Was it Jack Savage?
I interviewed him.
Hugely impressed by the setup. And you know, some of the interviews that we've seen have been really honest and from the heart, and that show that the structure is right, the people in place are good, and it's a good place to go into, and they're winning the games.
And another point, when Austin Stacks drew with Lown Rangers, there was the immediate talk afterwards, would the Stacks players commit to St. Brendan's? Just look at the way the team is lined out, and the Joe Connors and the Dylan Casey's, and then you have young Paddy Lane and Daniel Kirby, and
they have fully committed.
They have fully committed.
But we went back to it makes sense for them to do that. Because look at Meath Kerry and Fossa last year, and East Kerry last year, Fossa and Milltown. It kept those boys sharp, and it's going to keep these boys sharp too for the county final in
November the 10th.
November the 10th, is it?
Yeah, you have a great memory.
Yeah.
Right. That's the quarterfinals. Now we'll move on to the two semi-finals, preview them and give our thoughts on who we think going to win. Now I'll tell you this, lads, before you start, okay? Because I know you're a betting man. Yes. Bookmakers. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Highbrow, lowbrow stuff now here from Damien when I'm calling these out.
I still don't understand them.
For Dr. Crokes are 7-4 on. which he doesn't. It means nothing to him. No. And St Brendan's are 7-4 against. That's you could say 2-1 almost for St Brendan's. So for €1, €2, and the other way it's the opposite. Just to understand, because I don't think you were good at maths at school. Right. That's the first semi-final. Second semi-final. East Kerry are 2-7. Right, They were 1-10 and 1-12 to beat St Kierans, which is unbelievable. It was too close for comfort. If I had my 10 grand of that to win a grand. What are you laughing at? And then we had Dingle are 100-30. You have no idea what that means. As some fellow said in the radio, they 10-3. And I wonder, was he telling me the time? I looked at my watch and it was 4:15. But it wasn't. It's 100-30, and that's basically just over 3-1. So they're now at 3-1. So it's, if you multiply 30 by 30, whatever, you get it nice. So it's
So it's about 75
it's in
to
between
25%.
3-1 and 7-2.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know what 7-2 means?
No
idea. Okay,
No.
Right. So that's our betting lesson for today. By the way, if you gamble carefully and gamble with care, as he tells himself. Now. Crokes versus Brendan is on 5 o'clock on Saturday evening, and it's on at the Damien Stack Park, and we hope to have built up to it about 20-5 maybe on Clubber if we don't do another walk through the stadium. And at 5 o'clock we'll have full commentary with John O'Dowd and with Clive O'Callaghan on Dr. Crokes versus St Brendan's, live and exclusive on Clubber. So get subscribing or buying today, or even the annual pass, which will take you through the winter, because Clubber also have the rights for the Munster Club Championship games, which Damien Stack will be delighted with, because he can sit at home and watch them Right. I'm going to start with an unusual one this time. I'm going to start with John Kennedy, because John stays very quiet there and the two boys are dominating. Crokes and St Brendan's, right? Who do you fancy and why do you fancy? And is there any areas there might be concern for both sides? The midfield, do you think Crokes with Keating probably and Mark O'Shea will be probably stronger than David Moran and Joe, like Joe O'Connor, like two in the count? Like that's going to be a fair battle, isn't it?
It's going to be huge. Like probably the best 4 teams in the championship are in the semi-finals, I would say. To be fair, when you look at it. Crokes, I feel Crokes will edge this one. Yeah. I think the overall team ethic that they have, the system they have, the players in form, the type of football they play. Yeah. I think that the likes of Tony Brosnan, Micheál Burns, Gavin Shea, David Shaw up front. They're playing really well. They're on top of their game, and you have the Pat Shea effect in it as well. It's an intriguing battle with the managements. But there's no better man to analyse and pick weaknesses and nullify the main players in the opposition team than Pat. He's done that throughout the season.
Did you work with Pat O'Shea?
I did, yeah. Excellent coach.
Is he?
I was a selector for a year with him with the Kerry Miners, yeah. Excellent.
But was he good to work with?
Great to work with, yeah.
Very accommodating to your ideas.
Very accommodating, actually, yeah. Very open, great manager, and listened to everybody, and, had his own mind. But
when he takes over Kerry again, he might call on you. But continue anyway.
But no, on the other side of it, you have the defence.
Yeah.
James Costa, obviously, and the lads. But the defence that the Brendans have, the potential they have individually, all have won the Kerry jersey probably.
Yeah.
This is the best defence that the Crokes are going to have to come up against in the campaign so far.
Yeah.
Indeed, in the club championship as a collective. But I think that in spite, there's numerous battles that you could look to. Who's going to take up Tony Brosnan? Who's going to mark David Shaw? On the other side, Tommy Welch. Will they leave Fionn Fitzgerald inside? Who will Gavin White take up? These are the questions. Yeah. Will Jack Savage and Barry John get the space to kick the scores that they've got up to now? Yeah. The midfield battle, is it as important? But certainly Mark O'Shea and another player that we've spoken about with potential, will he be called in? This is an asset test against Joe O'Connor.
Yeah. And David Moran.
And David Moran. Correct.
Moran, yeah.
Exactly.
John, the kick-outs are going to be, Crokes go short, that can go long, because Shane is a powerful kick, as you know. Now, they spilled a few, if I remember, last Sunday, didn't they? They spilled a few, and they spilled one out over the line. So Pat will be wanting to get that right. But if you're looking at, say, Dylan Casey, I think he was marking Sean O'Shea, and that's a tough task. And I think Sean O'Shea won that battle last Sunday. He might have to take on Tony Brosnan.
Yeah, it's a mouth-watering. Just looking at individual battles, John mentioned the midfield, like of O'Shea and Keating against Joe O'Connor and David Moore, and that's fantastic. Then you look at it from a Dr. Crokes attacking perspective. Burns, Brosnan and Shaw are probably going to be picked up by Dylan Casey, Joey Nagel and Armin Heinrich.
Yeah.
So they're 3 current Kerry panellists who are going to come up against 3 flying Dr. Crokes forwards. So that's where you nail down your marker, not just for your club team, but looking forward, trying to catch the eye of the Kerry selectors. At the other end of the field then, obviously, you'd nearly put the house on John Payne picking up Barry John Keane. That just has a feistiness that is probably going to happen because of the age brackets of both players as well, and they probably have marked each other before down through the years. Yeah. And then you do look
I'll
at
give
it.
you a more explosive one than that. John Payne and Jack Savage.
I'd say I don't think John will come out to the half back line though, so I'd say
play in the half back line.
I'd say he'll be left inside. But like you look at it, like Evan Looney's a feisty character. He could be the man who's going to be told to pick up Jack Savage.
Yeah,
I would imagine that's probably a definite possibility. And Evan doesn't stand back from anyone, and neither does Jack. So that's brilliant as well. Then you look at it. Will there be times where St. Brendan's go for the aerial option? Yeah. Will they put Tomas Kennedy in with Tommy Walsh and send in some high balls into the full back line? You've often spoke, Murt, about Mark O'Shea having to drop back.
Yeah. I mean, Finn Fitzgerald was never a full back. He was a half back. He was a wing back, a corner back. He doesn't have the height, but he's doing very well in there now.
Yeah, he's doing very well in there. Like, and he came up against Shane Ryan last week, and Shane Ryan did have a significant height advantage on him. Yeah. So Fionn will probably be expecting to be in the orbit of a Tommy Walsh or a Tomas Kennedy at different stages of the game. Yeah. Overall, when you look at those individual battles, you can't really get much better than them throughout the county.
Damien, how do you think it will go?
I fancy Crokes. I fancy Crokes all year, so I'm going to stick with them.
Why? In 50 words.
In 50 words, I'll do Jimmy Darcy and I'll be here for another 10 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, Jimmy.
Jimmy will be watching this.
I know he will.
And his mother will hit you with an umbrella next time she meets you, or a handbag.
That's Jimmy's charm, though.
Yeah.
I think Crokes are operating, the boys have laid it out very, very nicely there. Just the lovely football, the structure, the way they can change things up, the quality of footballer that they have. I think they're just operating.
But what about if they fell back to the day they were beaten by Dingle? If they fall back to that kind of a game and don't perform, there could be
what I would
vulnerable.
Say, what I would say to that is that was 8 championship matches ago. And do you think
I can only think back to one championship?
And like, do you think Pat O'Shea, who we've all heard about and we've all spoken about, he's not going to have learned from 8 championship matches and have instilled corrections on them from those 8 championship matches? And that's the thing with Crokes is they've played 8 championship matches. Yeah. St. Brendan's, the depth of quality they have, everything. They've played 3 championship games. It's not comparable.
And a lot of the Crokes boys that are not in the Kerry panel
have played county
unbeaten
and county league.
Yeah,
that's not even including county league, exactly.
Yeah. And they've won something like 18 or 36 or maybe 48 out on the hookups. Not those players.
Yes. But no inter-county players, but we won't talk about that again.
No, right. Are you telling Pat O'Shea not to play his inter-county
No,
players?
I think Pat O'Shea can do whatever Pat O'Shea thinks is right. And I'm sure he will. I just think, as it stands, from what we've seen, Crokes are the best team in it. Doesn't mean they're going to be the best team in it in a fortnight's time, because East Kerry and Dingle have the ability to improve and all the rest of it. But I think as it stands at the moment, they're the most impressive team. They're the most coherent team.
You're going for them.
I'm going for them, and I think Brendan's are very, very good. I just wonder, do they have the fire? Do they have the fire? They had 2 starting forwards. No, I know they had Paddy Lane off the bench, and Tomas Kennedy had played a game of football already that week and things like that. But I just wonder, do they have the firepower to down the Crokes, and I suspect not.
Right, okay. Now remind me never to ask you to write an article for me with 50 words in it. I'll have to edit it. That's a gamekeeper turned poacher.
Yeah, exactly.
That expression is, because you had to do my basketball. Right, now, John, so just Dr. Crokes for you, John. First, John O'Dowd.
I really hope this goes right down to the wire, that it's an absolutely swashbuckling game, end-to-end football, real individual battles. But I do think Crokes will nick it.
John Kennedy.
I think Crokes will win it 2-1.
Absolutely, you're brilliant.
Yeah.
I asked you for less than 50 words and you gave me
thank
5.
you.
Right, that's okay. Bit more required, but you're learning quickly. Yes, this is different than Terrace Talk, by the way. Yeah, you can be seen here. You can only be heard in Terrace Talk. Okay. Right, we're going to move on to the second semi-final, which is on Sunday, and that's at 2 o'clock, and it's the champions East Kerry against Dingle. So, Damien, I'm going to start with you because you're good at 50 words. Dingle, they have no chance against East Kerry.
I wouldn't.
Please expand in 100 words.
I wouldn't go along with that. No, there is the point that you made earlier when we were discussing the Templenoe match. Is like the quality of teams that they have beaten. They're not the frontliners. They're not the Brindans. They're not the Crokes.
Kierans,
they're not the Kierans.
Kerry,
yeah. That's the only worry you'd have from. But they've definitely bounced back from that wobble they had after the club final and the mid-Kerry match. There's just that little bit of spark coming back into them, that little bit of confidence coming back into them. You've mentioned Tom Sullivan coming back in, huge.
Matthew Flaherty played well the last day at centre forward.
He's kind of a whirling dervish, that guy. He's just he's a bundle of energy. Yeah, sure. But he's a bundle of energy. Sorry, he's a bundle of energy. And I think
he's feisty.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's a player you want.
Exactly. And I kind of was thinking about this game during the week. These two teams.
Were you?
I was, yeah. Sometimes I think about things. It might be hard for you to get the concept. But
yeah. With what?
Thinking about things.
Yeah. No, but what do you think?
I was since say 2017. I think Rathmore actually beat East Kerry in the championship. Yeah. So that wasn't the East Kerry we know now. So since the East Kerry we know now has been born, these teams have played each other 5 times in championship. I won't say they don't like each other, but there's a history there. There's a rivalry there. There's probably more of a rivalry between Dingle and East Kerry than even Dingle and Mid Kerry, and they've met in 3 finals. So I think this could be feisty. Like you said, you've used the word feisty. I think this could be feisty. I think it's like I said, they played 5 times, and it's 4-1 in East Kerry's favour. Yeah. Dingle 2 years ago, same stage, lost by a point. They were a point up into injury time. They should have won that game. Yeah. I don't think Dingle will fear East Kerry.
Do you think they play? We'll say Dylan Gainey is a natural 13 and he plays there. Carl Bamry will probably play 15. Now what they've been doing with 14, although Paul Gainey could tug out with 14 on his back, they've been putting Barry Dan in there. Yeah. Is that a good idea? Or in this occasion, if Paddy Cochran and his mentors and Jim Garvey and Tommy Giffen think that East Kerry are vulnerable under high ball or something, could they put Paul Gainey in there? Because not alone can he field the high ball, but unlike Barry Dan, and no disrespect to Barry Dan because he's a midfielder, Paul can score.
Yeah, I would.
So would you put Paul the edge of the square?
Yeah, go back to the Kerry ladies final, which is they went for it. Yeah. And they rocked them on the hill. They rocked the favourite.
Congratulations to Castellan Desmonds and Scarta Glynn, by the way, and Abbey Dorney, my own club, and Bale. And Bale.
Yeah. But that sense that like you're going in against and Legion, they won as well. Yeah.
And Killarney Legion. Yeah. We've been talking about Crokes all day, so we have to be very careful to be politically correct in Killarney. So congratulations.
Exactly.
Legion. In the world to kill me.
You have If they can rattle, remember they go back to that Mid Kerry game, they scored a couple of early goals. If they could do something like that, get East Kerry thinking that could be huge. So that'd be definitely a way to go.
Yeah, I'll put it to you, John O'Dowd, because you're a sage in these matters and you fancy yourself as a coach. In fact, you were assistant to Liam Hassadale in the campaign, we remember, and the intermediate. But anyway, do you think though, East Kerry, you have match winners, you have Paddy Clifford. You have David Clifford. You have names, you have household names all over the place. Darrell Lyne has played at a higher level. You had the sub last day. You have Luke Danuke. You have Luke Crowley. You have so many players in there. The talent. How is Conor O'Sullivan, Tom Leo, the other Tom Sullivan, Conor Flannery? He's talking about feisty. He came on the last day and he got stuck into a Templenoe fella. Unbelievable altogether. Maurice Brosnan was watching it and he was wondering what's going on here. Because he's not huge, but he is brave.
Dingle, even though the treatment table is getting a bit better, especially with Tom O'Sullivan and Cathal Bambury coming back in, it's still, they don't have a full deck of cards at their disposal. Conor Ganey, I don't think was even togged last weekend. Whether he's available this weekend has to be very doubtful. Mikey Ganey, he's been missing the last couple of weeks.
He got married. You give a guy a break.
No, obviously he had his marriage as well.
He married is more important than a football game.
Conor O'Sullivan went off.
John Kennedy doesn't
Conor O'Sullivan went off about 7 or 8 minutes into the second half. Now, whether that was tactical or whether that was an injury, we don't know.
It had to be an injury. You wouldn't take off Conor O'Sullivan.
Exactly. Conor Flannery came on as a sub, but also went off again then, more 10 or 15 minutes later.
Did he get a yellow card? He didn't.
Not sure what the situation was there. So they're still not with a full-strength squad. East Kerry, what I've heard is Dara Roach could be back in contention this weekend.
Wow.
Whether that's to start or maybe come off the bench. Cian Gamble was missing last week, I think, so whether he's back available, he'd be a huge boost to East Kerry coming back in. Obviously, Finbar Murphy now will come into contention after his 5-point haul the last day. The problem for Dingle is, like you've mentioned the Cliffords and you mentioned Luke Crowley, etc. Rory Murphy was meant to be one of his best games now since he had all his injury problems. He was coming right back into the mix. We haven't seen Donal O'Sullivan down over the last couple of games.
I don't think we're going to see him.
No.
That's my information.
Yeah.
I'm not going to expand.
What do you do with Tom O'Sullivan the next day? He can't mark the two Cliffords at the same time. So what do you do?
You could switch from one to the other.
What do you do in that situation if you're Dingle?
I've been in two places at the one time and done reports. So why can't you mark two players?
I don't think you should be mentioning that fact, Murt.
Okay,
but
fair enough. Yeah.
Overall, like you say, as Damien is spot on, there is a level of we won't say animosity, but there's good manly feistiness between these both sets of players. It will be a hell for leather game, but I do think maybe the gut check they got, and it's written there in front of me, or you could even put it the kick up the backside, another way that East Kerry got, which they, to be fair to the likes of Jerry O'Sullivan, they would have expected that off St. Kierans. This wouldn't have been a shock to them that it went right down to the wire against St. Kierans last week. But that will be of huge benefit to them. Yeah. Probably of a better benefit than the 3 wins that Dingle have had in successive weeks.
It was probably too easy the last day in the second half. No disrespect to Templenoe, but it was.
Is there, maybe John might have an idea of this, you were at that game, is there a sense that they're not quite as powerful as they were in the last couple of years, and that they're East Kerry, and maybe they're a little... Look, we all think they're favourites of the championship, and we're not poo-pooing that. But is there a sense that they're a little bit beatable? Possibly?
I agree with you, and the people. I'd say the Kierans' performance the last day even asked more questions. While East Kerry won, it did ask questions. It showed up maybe a few weaknesses, and Jerry Sullivan and his selectors, they moved, they brought on, they ran the bench, but. Particularly Finbar Murphy, maybe Sean Leary, it wasn't to run the bench to give them a run. It was a battle, and they had to come out of it.
Dingle, and there is a benefit to that, like John said.
Dingle on the other side, look, they have weathered the storm. We said here a few weeks ago, there was questions. Yeah. And about the injuries, Tom Sullivan back, a huge boost coming into the dressing room, starting off.
But their bench strength is not as strong as East Kerry. Not a hope.
I'd agree with John. The injuries. Will Conor Ganey be right? Conor Sullivan, will he be how we see? Yeah.
No, I think Conor Ganey, according to his manager, won't be. He's got an injury that'll be out for quite a while.
And there's another thing that it doesn't apply to the other game, because they both went through the front door. Dingle have gone through the back door. They've won last weekend, or they haven't had a weekend off. How much of an impact will that have, do you think?
Yeah, they probably had 2 of the
easier
games.
Don't ask John about wear and tear and welfare, please.
They probably had 2 of the easier games, though. The Milltown game, was nasty. But I think more importantly for Dingle was to get the bodies right less on the treatment table, and Tom Sullivan's participation was crucial.
I think Paul Ganey is huge in this game.
Paul Ganey is huge.
I think he's a leader. Forget his scores. He's going to score 1-5 or 1-6 through in most games, and maybe a couple of goals if Dylan doesn't steal one off him. But basically, Paul is huge.
And what you said earlier on about...
By the way, Paul is sponsoring the Kerry J website, and he will, as journalist, mind you, John, Kennedy, because you can look up a website. The website is coming back on. We were told to the county board meeting tomorrow. It'll be about 1 o'clock we'll be on, so there'll be individual clubs. You can go down, you can, Ashley is at the top because it's an A, right? Abidone is probably before it, is it? AB, it is, and on a scall. But yeah, it's you know, it's up and running again, which is great. The website has been down. They've gone to Croke Park, and the people who run the GA1 in Croke Park have given them the guys who do the scores and update them to do that. So hopefully, don't be looking with a dubious face at me, demo. I'm only carrying you a message.
I would love if they had things like previous year's results, because they disappear, and archives, and just rolls of honour and things like that. Who won the championship last year? I don't know. It kind of disappears. You shouldn't be relying on Wikipedia for
Kerry man, and
that's the way to go about it.
Just on the Paul Ganey, the Paul Ganey conundrum for East Kerry and for Jerry O'Sullivan, and I'll add in the Dylan Ganey conundrum. Who marks them? Like, just look through that set of East Kerry backs at the moment, and who do you say is going to pick up Dylan Ganey and Paul Ganey? Like, this is not the same East Kerry defence that has been there for some of their previous ones. Like, you had Paul Murphy one time as part of that defence. You had Jack Sherwood. You had Pa Warren. You had Chris O'Donoghue. They were all members of the Kerry panel at that time. This East Kerry defence is totally different.
I'd say Niall O'Donoghue will be involved in the marking job.
Niall O'Donoghue is very good.
Niall O'Donoghue, he's
like you would imagine,
and then imagine
Cian Lynch could be someone who could pick up Dylan Ganey.
He could.
And the role Paul has played over the last couple of weeks, he's coming deep. He's using the
midfield.
He's using the playmaker. Particularly we saw it the night behind in Dingle against Kenmare, when they were under pressure, they were down. Paul's kicking into the full forward line was impeccable.
If he's deeper, John, if he's deeper, play centre half forward. Do you want a Cian Gamble or a Paddy O'Leary on him?
Yes.
Yeah, Paddy O'Leary could be good. The problem for Dingle is they win a lot of ball, and if Paul Ganey's are around the middle of the field and he's sending it in, right? The problem for them is they're not, despite the fact that Dylan Ganey is quick, etc., they have a number of players who are not as quick as some of these Kerry players would be. In other words, defensively as well. If you're looking at East Kerry and you're looking at David Clifford and Paddy Clifford, you know, and you're looking at Luke Crowley and you're looking at Rory Murphy. The question is, as we asked earlier, it's the two forward lines that can win this, I think, and it's a question of which defence will manage it better.
It depends who. On whose terms will the game be played?
Yeah, it will be played on my terms. I can tell you now, not the game, but this discussion. I can tell you now, again, to get back to your favourite subject, highbrow, lowbrow, the overall outright betting for the county championship, East Kerry are 4 to 7 favourites, odds on. Dr. Crokes are a very tasty 7-2. That's 3.5 to 1. So you put down 1,000. You get back 3.5 and your own 1,000. There's no danger of that. You'd want one of those.
A crowbar, is it?
Yeah, crowbar to open your wallet. St. Brendan's are 11-2. I don't know why they do this instead of saying 5 to 1 or 6 to 1 and 7 to 1 for Dingle. So Dingle are the complete outsiders, right? In a word, because we have 5 minutes left and we have to do the junior final. We have 3 minutes actually, because I got to be out of here. I have a date tonight. With Faith. That's not her name, by the way. Right, in one word, who's going to win this game? It's an intriguing clash.
East Kerry. Which is 2 words, but look, what can we do?
I know, 2 words. Yeah, but I mean, it's one sentence.
East Kerry.
East Kerry.
East Kerry as well, yeah.
God, you're a very predictable person. I think Dingle will win it. Yeah, they're my outside bet for the week.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
I think the forward line could take East Kerry. Jerry O'Sullivan will watch this and he'll be waiting for me at the end of the tunnel on Sunday for the interview and saying, you thought we weren't going to do it. if you say something like that, they will use it against you later. And then if you actually say they're going to win it, and they're going to win it well, he's Kerry, or the other clubs, they will use that against you as well and say, he wrote us off.
The famous one was the 2007 county final.
6, was it?
No, 2007, because it was my first year working in the Kerry
Field
band.
Rangers.
And Field Rangers, and the Field Rangers managers, he wrote us off. There was literally paper cutouts on the wall, and
a separate hat lamp inside.
It was you don't rate us, they don't rate us, they don't respect us. It was the quote, and then we went to the South Kerry manager, and it was sure, what chance do we have? You all talked us up too much, so you can't win.
They finished 7-6 or 6.
Yeah, it was a very bad day, very bad day.
Yeah,
but a great day.
I'll always remember that final, although I was in Asses.
I know.
I'm not going to tell the story,
No,
but I was
not.
actually blamed for picking the man of the match, and I was up in Innis watching Kilcummin play one of the Tipperary or the Clare teams at that particular
But you
year.
still did pick them in the match.
Yeah.
I did not pick the man of the match. Declan, I'm sorry. Right. Now, on Saturday night, very quickly, lads, and sorry, we're not demeaning this competition, but we just don't have time. We run out of time. As usual, you keep talking too much.
Oh, sorry.
That is the Kerry Petroleum Junior final, and it's between two lads who are represented here, two clubs of the lads represented here, Duagh against Tarbert. Now, I'm going to ask John for the neutral viewpoint, but first of all, John, is it a good idea to have it in Listowel? I believe it is.
I think it is Murt. You know, a lot of people thought it would be in Austin Stack Park maybe, but I think it's an North Kerry derby, and you know, Listowel, any pitch under lights for a final, there's a great atmosphere, but Listowel lends itself to a really good atmosphere. I think it'll be a really good game. You know, there's a youthful Duagh side under John Halpin, rejuvenated.
Yeah.
There's talks about some experienced players coming back for them. Whether that materialises or not,
we're talking about Anthony Marr.
Yeah, there's rumours he could be back, and you know,
Donncha back from Australia.
Yeah, all these are out there. But
Ryanair, was it? How did he play that?
We'll know Saturday evening, but you have to say that Duagh have been really consistent this year, and John has done a great job coming back in with them, and you know, Ted Scanlon, the Connors, Kevin Lucy in the middle of the field, and of course Cormac up front, like you know.
Nigel gets overlooked because of Kieran.
You know, yeah, they work extremely hard. They're kicking great scores, and on the other side, then you know, going on the semi-final for him, Shane Enright was crucial to Tarbert.
Outstanding.
His experience, Kevin at full back. You add in young Egan, young Mulville, you know, John Coulhan up front, Sean Wren. You know, they're playing great stuff, but Andrew Doherty came off the bench in that game, and he played a crucial part.
I've seen him play. He played last year,
Yeah.
and in the build-up, and I don't know, did he play in the final, John?
He was injured for
He
the
was
final.
Injured, but I've seen him, and even before that, in our Kerry and things, he's a fine player. Himself and the lad that's away,
Killian
Langan. I mean, if they were lining up with Tarbert, I'd really be fancying them.
Yeah, you would, yeah, because they were the leading lights last year, and you know, but there's no room where the Killian is back or anything like that. But look, it's going to be a real down to the wire game, I feel.
Yeah, he's swimming back.
Is he swimming back? Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
but
John,
I feel Murt, the experience that Tarbert have, Shane Enright and that, to complement the youth, they could shade it. Tarbert
could shade it.
The experience from last year.
Yeah.
They were very disappointed last year. They got to county final.
But remember,
and they didn't perform.
Duagh got to county final and were beaten by Lisbon. Both of them are trying to make up for disappointments last year. So they're very alike.
And both have new managements as well.
New managements, yeah.
You know.
John O'Dowd, talking about the management. John O'Dowd, Tarbert, listen to me.
Yeah.
What chance would you give them? And tell me, they had a pretty, I mean, they beat Cremon in the quarter-final.
That was Duagh beat Cremon.
Sorry, Duagh beat Cremon. But in your situation, will you decide who lost to Cordell and then beat him in the semi-final?
Yeah.
That was some turnaround.
Yeah, because we lost the second round of the group stages by 10 points, and I think Damien,
I think it was
9 or 10 points. Damien was covering the game that day, and pretty much, Tarbert would have admitted it themselves.
They were blown out of the water.
atrocious on the day, and to come back and take down Cordell, and I know Cordell were were pretty confident and that they were going to go all the way
And
this
I
year
think
because
a lot of us were very confident in them because they were playing so well.
And then you can see what the way Philip O'Connor and Sean O'Connell have even played since that game in a higher level competition in the county championship. So that was a real feather in Tarbert's cap to get over Cordle.
And I don't think it's a month ago now, but the head might be a bit fuzzy. But I'm not sure Philip and Sean played at all to that level against Tarbert.
John will tell you, like we got our matchups pretty right.
And another man, Danny Ryan, had a huge influence for Tarbert as well.
He's a good goalkeeper as well.
So, like when you look at it, both teams, like Duagh have coming off a long way this year. Like to get out of Division 5 was their number one focus, and they achieved that. And I think it
Division 3 though, mid-table.
Yeah,
so
and like
he definitely should be winning this.
We actually weren't far off getting promoted from Division 2 or into Division 2. If we'd won our last game against Churchill, which we lost by a point, we would have been in the playoff for promotion.
Is that a refereeing decision?
No, I don't think so. No, Churchill ended up, they were the better team on the day, definitely. But it's like, for Tarbert, it's a huge game because, like, to not perform as we didn't perform in the final last year against Renard, we can't afford for that to happen 2 years in succession. For Duagh, it's maybe a little bit different because they mightn't have expected to be in this situation at the start of this championship. But they've come an awful long way since, and getting over Knocknagoshel was massive for Duagh because of the local rivalry and the fact that they were a bogey team to Duagh.
The Mal Derby, was it?
Yeah, correct. So that has kind of released the pressure valve to a degree on Duagh. And like, there's a lot of stuff on the grapevine as regard both teams and who's going to be involved and who's not going to be involved. And like, both respective teams know the situation. Like, there's no secrets around North Kerry. As John will tell you, everybody knows who's available for selection for this weekend on both sides. So it's going to be an intriguing game. Like, you'd have to have it as a 50-50 game because it is that local derby. So it's hard to call. Obviously, I hope in one result, Damien hopes in another result. And thank God John will be on co-commentary duty to provide neutral verdict on Saturday night.
Yeah. Damien, make a case for Duagh. What have you seen by them? I know you're living in Beale now. You abandoned ship, and they reach a final after you abandoning ship.
You know, well, the two things might be related.
Yeah, that doesn't make spoil a good story.
But Tarbert have to be favourites. Look, they're Division 3. They were in the final last year. It'd be 60-40, I would say. 55-45. But just Duagh are playing with complete abandon this year. They're playing. They've caught a swathe through every competition they've played.
Putting up big scores.
Is that the manager?
And putting up
John
Halpin is incredible.
Putting up seriously big scores. Duagh have been putting up.
Yeah. Whatever, John Halpin. Like, go back to when he was keeper. We were winning. You know, we won our county junior championship the last time, which was the Premier Junior now with the regrading, and he won us an North Kerry final as manager in 2012, which was played in Listowel. Listowel, I think, is going to be huge. I think that as a North Kerry occasion, this is going to be massive.
And Listowel like you, don't they?
Listowel like us. That's what they do, yeah.
Do you like Listowel? You don't.
Well, nobody likes the big town.
All right,
nobody likes the big town.
I heard that Duagh don't like, and there have been players who moved as well, haven't there?
Not too many, no.
Yeah, you were telling
well,
me
I don't know.
There was some fella playing you didn't like him because he was from Duagh originally. But go ahead.
I know, but I would doubt there'd be too many who would ever have played for Duagh and then gone played for Listowel or vice versa. To be honest with you,
that crossing the.
But that'd be crossing the Rubicon.
What's going to be very interesting is the Duagh forwards against the Tarbert defence. Duagh forwards have been putting up like 218 against Cremon, 413 against Bale, big scores. Look at Tarbert's defensive record over the last 3 games. Only 7 points conceded against Cordle, 1-7 against Skellig Rangers, and 1-5 against Moyvan.
Can you do to Kieran Lucy what you did to Sean O'Connell? It'll be another big one.
Yes.
But do you have lads? I saw them with Shannon Rangers along with John, like Conor Egan, David Mulvihill. These young lads, particularly at the back, they're good. They're sticky. Like
Kevin Enright, I think, was even man of the match.
And then you've Shane Enright. How good is Shane? Since I know he owns Greyhounds now with Paddy Clifford and the boys and all this carry on. Has he any interest in football anymore?
I saw Shane in Cordal, and he was, so.
Don't say that about Shane, right? He's one of the top players.
Just being honest, he was so that day.
Yeah.
And then in the semi-final, he was super. He was so influential in that game.
I've never seen him as vocal in a game. We were doing the game. I never saw him as vocal in a long time. Yeah. And the influence he had, encouraging all the young lads around him, but the way he took control of the game was just incredible.
He must be close to 40 now. What age is Shane?
He's 36. He's the same as
close to 40,
David Moran and Tommy Walsh. They're all the same.
They're all the same vintage.
Yeah.
Right, lads. Now we have to wind up. So I want this time definitely just the answer. Look, I know.
Is there any point in asking?
No,
it's only point in asking John. Just
I'll only ask John because you want Duagh to win. You want Tarbert to win. The heart has to rule the head in that situation. Although I think both of you probably, if you were.
The one thing I would say, Duagh have there's a hell of a lot more pressure on Tarbert than there is on Duagh in this game. After last year's, after the building for 3 or 4 years, this is kind of a new Duagh, and like you say, they're almost ahead of schedule. They can go out and they can play with abandon. If they do that, and if they get into if they get into a nice little lead, and they could start getting early lead, and they could get into Tarbert's heads, then maybe they could win it.
Right. Okay, John, you're the only neutral here. You're the only man I believe. I trust you implicitly, despite all the lies you've told me over the years. Anyway, who's going to win?
I think Tarbert will shade it, Murt. I think that there's very little to call between both teams. I think
Duagh shower units and in Tarbert and in Duagh.
Duagh playing exceptional stuff. I saw both teams up close this year. John Halpin, he's an infectious guy. Even after a game, he will come up inquiring about different players, seeing how do you think we got on. I know John particularly well. On the other side, you have Eamon McKelligot, who was an SD man training Tarbert, with Jamie Diggins. And, another guy that eats and drinks and sleeps football, meticulous in preparation. Both teams will be ready, but I think the standard that Tarbert have in the county league, like John said, 1 point away from a playoff to go up to Division 2. That could be the difference at the end of the day, but really tough one to call. Yeah. Really tough one to call. I think Tarbert will shade it. A hesitant vote for Tarbert to shade it.
Do you think, John, that there'll be a huge North Kerry crowd at that match?
Huge crowd, yeah. A huge crowd, I think, And I think North Kerry, we said it earlier on this year, the number of teams in North Kerry that have been competitive in the championships and have got to the playoff stages, and these are 2 in a final. I think you'll have a huge crowd in.
Murt, could you organise a Garda escort from Meath from Austin Stack Park back to Listowel after the St Brendan's Dr. Crokes game?
No, because you will be probably missing the first 10 minutes, and by that stage it will be Duagh 1-6, Tarbert no score, and you'll sulk and you'll avoid Listowel, go home through the new bypass, and you'll be in Tarbert at home. Watching on Clubber the final remnants of your club losing again. No, I'll be able to arrange something like that. In fact, I probably will be able to arrange a Clubber helicopter maybe. So that's it for our preview, folks. It went on a little bit longer. Our producer's here furiously winding his alarm.
Waving his arms.
Waving his arms. I thought it was a fire or something, obviously, when time was up.
To no avail, though, I must add.
I told him the game would go to added time, and now he believes we've actually gone to added time, penalties, and a replay. But I hope you enjoyed listening to John Kennedy, John O'Dowd and Damien Stack for their forthright views, their look back and their predictions. We wish all the clubs the best of luck at the weekend. May the best teams win, and we'll be interested in the senior. Obviously the senior final, county final, there's a week's break, and then we're on to the final on the 27th. Now, don't forget the junior, the final, as well as the 2 senior semi-finals. They're all live and exclusive on Clubber this weekend. So that's 3 games. You can switch on one at 5, be on and watch the one at 7 out without travelling or getting a Garda escort. And then on Sunday afternoon, you can watch the build-up. Hopefully we'll build up both in Tralee on Saturday evening, and on Sunday, JC has promised me something like 20 cameras to catch my rather slim features on camera. So we will discuss and the build up to the game, etc. So thanks to the lads again. Thanks to JC for his production again and his camera work, etc. He never ceases to amaze us with the quality product he brings out, except the clowns who were on it. He can't do anything about that. So that's the story for now. We'll see you all again. You'll be listening to us at the weekend, hopefully, and we'll be back next week. Looking forward to the junior final. The Premier Junior Final is coming up, isn't it? The following weekend, unless certain results go a certain way on at the weekend. More than likely, we'll be looking forward to watching Ardfert play Fireys the following week.
Well, if he's Kerry win, we won't. So
no, there is a proviso in there that we may well be there.
If East Kerry or Brendan's win,
the
final will be on the weekend before the county football final.
Really?
Yeah. So it's only if East Kerry were to play St. Brendan's in the final, would it be on if a team other than East Kerry and St. Brendan's reach the final, it obviously can't be played as a curtain raiser the day before, the 27th, but it will be played next weekend instead. But that'll be all cleared up at the weekend. We don't want to get into a fixtures mess like last week, and we certainly want to congratulate Fionnán Mackesy on his All-Star.
Jack Goulding.
And Jack Goulding on his All-Star as well in their respective grades in the hurling front. So that's a wrap for now from Murt Murphy. It's good night and goodbye.